Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. As always, thank you for joining me. If you could, hit that subscribe button down below and let's get right to it. Now, before I get into the video, I wanted to give a quick little channel update. Next week, I'm going to be a little busy, I guess is the word for it. My wife will be off of work for a week, and we're going to be doing other things like that, so I won't really have time to upload daily here, like I have been trying to do anyway. So what I'm going to do is set up a few videos to go out from Saturday through maybe at least Wednesday of next week, hopefully. Little 2 or 3 minute rants over different topics, if I can at least find this information to do so. I plan to make those videos on Friday, and they'll go up throughout the week. So please keep watching. Please keep subscribing. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And I hope that the videos I do put up next week are at least enough for people to want to watch them. Because I know it's kind of hard sometimes to get people to watch videos now or get put in the recommendeds when you're less than 10 minutes. But I will at least put out something and try and have something out at least for 5 days of next week. Now let's get to the story. Since the Parkland shooting, there's been a lot of talk over this deputy, or school resource officer anyway, who refused to go in the building. And I've sat here and watched a lot of interviews from a lot of other police officers and stuff like that, and from the police officers union there in Broward County. And this resource officer did not do what he was supposed to. He hid outside because he heard the gunshots inside. Now, there's a lot of talk about why this may have happened. Maybe it was cowardice. Maybe he didn't want to get shot. Can't blame him there. But it also, I think, comes down to the fact of the weapon he had versus the weapon the shooter had. As much as we all think this shooter, or not the shooter, but this deputy or school resource officer should have been in the building, what good could he have done with a pistol versus a semi-automatic assault rifle? Now, he could have at least tried, because they had other people that were unarmed who gave their lives so some students could be saved. This guy could have gone in. He could have potentially saved lives. Because he could have found a way maybe to sneak up on the guy or whatever. But then, after all that's figured out, the guy's resigned and all that, kind of in disgrace, you find out that there were 3 or 4 other Broward County Sheriff's deputies out there. They also hid outside. One of them was claiming he didn't go inside because, I thought the shooter was outside. I don't buy that for a second. Because I understand that I may not be the most adept when it comes to guns, but you can sure tell where sounds are coming from. And if you were there while the shooting's happening and you're doing nothing, and you think he's outside, then, or acting like you think he's outside, then there's something going on with you. But the thing is, you've got the sheriff's deputies that didn't go in, you've got the school resource officer that didn't go in. But the thing that's really pissing me off now that we already know what's going on about the school resource officer not doing anything, these Broward County sheriffs not doing anything, is the Broward County Sheriff himself sitting there taking no responsibility for the actions of his people. Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel, I don't care his political leanings. I don't care which way he leans politically. But the buck stops with him. He's the boss there of the sheriff's department. He's the sheriff. The buck stops with him. You can sit there and try and blame Trump. You can try and blame anybody you want. You can blame the shooter because, yes, the shooter is the one who did the crime. But the response from the Broward County Sheriff's Department was horrific. It's a terrible response. Instead of running in to save these children, they didn't even go in. They were too chicken to do that. And some people out there can be like, well, you wouldn't have gone in. No, you're right. I wouldn't have. But I also would never pick up a gun and put on a badge and say I'm a sheriff. I would never, swear to serve and protect. Because at the end of the day, if I hear gunshots, I'm going the other way. I'm a chicken shit. That is why we have people as police officers that will go into fire. Because they are not chicken shits. I sit here and look at all these police officers who put their lives on the line day in and day out and have been killed in the line of duty. And these 4 or 5 officers here basically spat in their face. Now, we all have there's been issues with police officers in this country, and I understand that. But I also understand that most police officers are great individuals. Most would run into a firefight to save a child, period. Whether it risks their lives or not. But clearly, those 4 over in Broward County, they weren't about that. They weren't about saving lives. That school resource officer was not about saving lives. Yet, you had another guy who happened to be a police officer who grabbed his gun as he was mowing a baseball field, I think it was. And he ran over there, grabbed a little body armor, and ran. He didn't care that he had a little pea shooter compared to the guy's semi-automatic rifle. He didn't care. He was doing his job. Kids being shot. He runs to help. These other guys, they sit outside and cower. Those guys are not heroes. It's sad to say. It's sad for me to have to say that police officers were cowards. But they were. Instead of rushing the building in some kind of organized fashion to try and make sure try and take out the shooter, they let him get out the back door, basically. He just blends in with everything. Now, I'm no professional on how officers are supposed to conduct themselves in the face of a school shooting. But I did read an article the other day of a police officer from Columbine, where he said Columbine changed the game to where, when there was a shooting before Columbine or up to Columbine, the cops would create a perimeter, and that would be it. And they would wait until they had, till later to go in. But he said that changed. Columbine changed that when it came to shootings at schools. That the first thing they were supposed to do is engage the shooter and take him down if necessary. Yet, these officers chose to stay outside and hide. Now, maybe it had to do with their guns versus his guns. But by the time there was 3 or 4 other sheriff's deputies there with the resource officer, somebody should have been in that damn building. But Sheriff Scott Israel, you need to take responsibility here. This was on you. Okay? Sure, your deputies didn't go in there, but they were your deputies. Your deputies. You're the sheriff of Broward County. And you're taking no responsibility for what happened. So I'm not going to sit here and mince words. Scott Israel, you are no less of a coward than that school resource officer who didn't go in that building. Your sheriff's deputies showed up and didn't do a damn thing, according to all the media reports that I have seen. And you want to sit there and act like your leadership was perfect. Bullshit. You should lose your job. That's all there is to it. You should be replaced as sheriff of Broward County. End of story. You are just as much at fault as those officers that didn't go in that building. And you want to take no responsibility. Those children were dying because of your officers not going in that building. And because of that resource officer not going in that building. More students could have been saved. Instead, the guy shot everybody he wanted to shoot, basically. And when he ran out of targets, he left. It's just, I don't even know what else to call it. But let me tell you, Scott Israel, you did a terrible job. Your sheriff's deputies did a terrible job. The school resource officer did a terrible job. And you're the boss of at least the sheriff's deputies. You should have at least had the balls to take responsibility. So like I said, your political affiliations and leanings mean nothing to me. You got a lot of people saying, oh, he's a liberal. I don't care what he is. He could be a conservative. He can be a liberal. He could be a socialist, a communist, a fascist. I don't give a damn. The son of a bitch needs to be fired because it was his job. He's the boss. The buck stops with him. Case closed. Anyhow, y'all have a great day if you can. I'll see you down the road. And hopefully I'll have another video for you tomorrow.